Pikoy,
Hello.
how is it going?
Going good.
That's awesome. Well, it's a tradition.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the drink. I
We
told
made
you
it.
this before. Um,
Oh wow, that's nice.
yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the coffee flavor with the lemon.
No, I love it. All right. So
Wow.
much to talk about. Welcome to Creative Headspace.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. I mean, it is my pleasure. Why would I not have you? Why would I not have a conversation with you? Let's be honest. So you said you're a life seeker and not a life escaper.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well that's interesting you brought that up. That was something I was in a cab with my two friends the other day, and we were just talking, like it was a late night, and we were just talking about late night conversation in the cab, and talking about like a key difference in individual humans, like why they're my close friends and maybe like other people aren't my close friends, and that was what the ethos of our conversation. But then I came up with that life seeker, life escaper. Like I felt like all three of us were life seekers, and that's why we really like mesh well. And I have a lot of friends too that I feel like are maybe more life escapers, and I love those people too. But at this point, I'm really just going for life. Like I love I just love being alive, And in another car ride I had, in BC, I was hitchhiking, got picked up, and this guy told me like, "Yo, you just gotta grab life by the horns," and I don't know why, but that just stuck with me. I was like, "Damn, like." That's true, and that was maybe 6 years ago, before I moved to Montreal, that was. And I was like, yeah, I just got to grab life by the horns.
You were hitchhiking.
Yeah, I was hitchhiking.
So that means you got in someone's random car on a highway.
Stranger. And he
How?
was like really like energized. He was like I don't think most people would get in this individual's car.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I looked at him, and because that was the thing, he pulled over and he's like, "Yo, I just got to let you know I'm really high right now." And then I was like, okay, like I'm in a rush right now. Like, where are you going? Like, well, first I asked like what he was on, and then he's like, "Oh, just weed." And I was like, okay, like that's more chill. I'm okay with this, because I was in a mad rush. Like I was half an hour late already. I missed my bus, and I was hitchhiking. And then but he was really energized too.
Yeah.
And so that initially I thought that he might have been on something else, and I was like, oh whoa. But then he was like, yeah, like I'm in a rush too, so it worked out perfectly. And he was a really nice guy. Like we had a good connection in the car, and but that was the main takeaway. He got me to where I needed to be so quick. Like he was driving too fast. But sometimes in those moments, like I was just at the mercy of him, because I was already late, and he offered to give me a ride.
So again, hitchhiking, like you got in. Why were you hitchhiking in the first place? Yes, you missed your bus.
Yeah.
But that's when you're on a highway and you have your hand out type of
with
thing.
your thumb. I mean,
with
it's in
your thumb.
BC, so it's a bit different than here. I would say just smaller communities. Like I'm from Nelson, BC,
Gotcha.
which is only 10,000 people in population. So most likely, like everyone kind of knows each other, and there's like an established community and culture, I would say, that makes you, I don't know, you see those people, and you might like being a part of that culture gives you that trust to I don't know, stick your thumb out on the middle of the road. I wouldn't really do that anywhere,
Interesting. It's a smaller community, so you can kind of trust people around you.
Yeah, and hitchhiking is definitely common there, because it's the middle of BC in the mountains, more so than, I don't know, you never see people hitchhiking in the city, which I think is strange, honestly. Like sometimes when I'm running late in the city, I wish I could just like put my thumb out on Sherbrooke and get picked up, but
That would be weird.
yeah, it'd be weird.
That would be weird.
But I definitely wish I could do that, because I like hitchhiking a lot too. I mean, I just love traveling, like any form. Like I love the bus, I love the train, I love airplanes. I want to go, like I've been on a submarine once, that was super dope. I love helicopters, like all these forms of travel. I don't really have biases. Obviously I like doing things I've never done before, but yeah, there's something to me about traveling that I've always loved, and different forms and different ways of doing it, like backpacking. I really right now really want to go on a backpacking trip just all around America, um, either hitchhiking or with a car, and probably with one like close friend, and make some sort of. I mean, it would be really cool to make a documentary about it, but some sort of like visual, and just create along the whole way, and
Gotcha.
collaborate with artists, go to different shows, and check out
And
different scenes in America, because that's something I'm American, but I feel like I'm very out of touch with America as a whole. Like, I've been to New York, I've been to LA, Seattle, and mostly Hawaii. And I don't know, that's given me some perspective, but still, like, America's such a big country and so diverse, and the population density is just so high, so much higher than Canada.
yeah, yeah. Will I be wrong if I say that you're from the mountains then?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up mostly in Nelson, British Columbia, which is very in the heart of the mountains in the interior. It's just west of the Rockies, so like 4-hour drive from Banff, with which a lot of people are familiar with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I'm from the mountains, but I also, up until I was 11, I was raised partly in Hawaii. So
Gotcha.
Hawaii also has, like, I'm from where I was raised in Hawaii is the Big Island, which has the mountain Mauna Kea, which is a very large mountain. Like, in the wintertime, there'll be snow at the top of this mountain. So, but it's definitely more ocean living. Everybody lives on the shoreline mostly in Hawaii.
And your parents are creatives too,
Yeah,
and artists.
yeah.
So how did that help you as a creative?
I mean, it's interesting, my relationship with, like, my upbringing. I feel like it's something I'm learning to understand now that I'm I'm 20 years old, and at this point in my life, I feel like I'm getting way more appreciation for my parents and the upbringing I had. Whereas before, I had some mixed feelings about it, the culture I come from, cultures, and background. But now I feel like I'm really embracing it more, and understanding it better. But I feel like the key element that has really helped me from my parents being creatives is their openness, in terms of how, like, their openness towards who I want to be and how I want to live my life. Definitely, they want me to live, as I think most parents do, they want their kids to live a better life than they had. And is expressed in many different ways. But for me, my parents have been generally supportive of, like, in terms of the ideology. Like, they believed in me, whichever path I would want to choose. Because throughout my life, my choice of path has changed. Like, I used to want to be a lawyer, and I actually still want to study law at some point, but it's changed a lot since then. And this past year, I was studying business at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. That's why I was, as I told you earlier, I was living there
In
this past
Van.
year. Yeah.
So you have been a high achiever.
I feel like I have the biggest expectations of myself, and like, I am my motivation,
You are your motivation.
just, or maybe that's not how I want to put it. It's that I want to be my best self. Like, I'm happy to be alive,
Yeah.
and I want to be my best self. And, like, within that, like, if you unfold that a bit deeper, it's like, I want to rise to my full potential, and there's nobody else is going to do that for you, to get you there where you see yourself at your highest self. I really don't think anyone else is even a part of that path. Like, yeah, there's people that'll come in that path, but I think you can get there pretty much alone. Like, you're the only one brushing your teeth at night. So
See, this is music to my ear, because there's a lot more days I hate myself than I love myself, because it's like, I know my potential. I woke up and I was like, I can do this certain thing, and I should do this certain thing, and then I don't do that certain thing.
yeah.
And then it's a huge disappointment and letdown within yourself.
Yeah.
So do you feel that some days?
Yeah, for sure. That's a major thing. I feel like what helps me most is just, well, I live by, like, a lot of my own philosophies, I would say. I'm not religious. I would say that I'm spiritual, but, like, I don't really, like, identify with any area of belief system,
Gotcha.
because I like to just believe in myself, and Maybe that's a selfish thing to say, but I think that it's really helped me in a lot of ways, because it's like if I believe in myself and like have this level of self-confidence, and self-respect, then anything that kind of happens out in the world, or even that might affect me, it doesn't affect me as much, because at the end of the day, I respect myself, believe in myself, and take self-responsibility. So but then it comes back to what you were saying about maybe feeling bad about yourself when you don't achieve your expectations. But I don't know, I think every day is a new day, and I do believe in like magic. And I mean, the reason I believe in magic is because like 1+1, like you plus me equals like this conversation, and who knows what this conversation is going to have. I think a better way to view that is like computer plus internet. Like, what does that equal? It doesn't equal like computer plus internet. It equals all these things that we've created.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it. I was reading your answers, and you're a very good writer.
Oh, thank you.
Has anybody else told you this before?
No, not really.
Like the way you write, you reach emotions, and I really like that.
Yeah.
And it's also
Thank you.
how you talk too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But okay, so that's interesting. You wanted to first study business, now potentially maybe law, but at the same time,
those have kind of been incubating within me, honestly.
Okay.
That was like more connected to my childhood. I never thought I could do what I do now. And like growing up, for some reason, I never thought that I could like have a career in fashion per se, or arts, or just any of the things I do now seem like really, I never saw that for myself growing up. I've always been good at math and excelled at school. So I've always thought of myself excelling in academics, and I've always wanted to change the world. And the way I saw doing so was through business or law. And I still kind of agree with those values. But as soon as I moved to Montreal, I just met all these people doing what I loved to make money. And I was like, whoa, maybe I can do this.
Yeah, so am I correct that you started shooting in like 2016?
No, I wouldn't say, no, not 2016. I've been, I have been shooting since then, but professionally, no. I've always been taking photos. I feel like ever since I was like 10, or like just ever since I could really like feasibly take photos, I was doing it. My mother was a photographer as well.
Okay,
so that was like a big influence for sure. But no, I moved to Montreal 4 years ago now.
Okay.
And I started I wasn't planning to move here, just came to visit. And my best friend at the time was modeling at Essence. And so through him and coming to visit him, I met a lot of people that worked at Essence. And I started styling, actually. That was like I still work as a stylist, but that was the main focus from when I started working in the creative industries, and just making money, and seeing it as a more profession than just something I'm passionate about.
Gotcha. So you were in University of British Columbia.
So I lived in Montreal for 3 years.
Gotcha.
And then moved to British Columbia to do business school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did you end up, because you came here just for like a visit, and then you ended up staying?
Yeah, it was unanticipated. I mailed all my stuff. I had to mail all my stuff over from BC.
No way.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. I mean, the past 4 years have been a whirlwind, honestly.
How so?
It's just I just kind of flow where things feel organic. Like, I don't like to force things too much. I used to force, like when I was starting as a creative, I felt like I had to push nonstop, and a lot of that pushing feels like forcing. It's like I wanted there to be more sustainability, so I was pushing myself, my work, and I think there is a lot to be like, that's worked for a lot of people. It's a great strategy. For me, it's allowed me to be way more confident, and it put me into the circles that I wasn't necessarily a part of before, because I was trying to make stuff happen all the time, and but fast forward to now, I I focus on just more like keeping it a bit smaller, I guess, and not forcing, and really going where things feel fluid, and working with people that it just feels like organic, and like my friends, and we're like really aligned with vision, you know, instead of just working with people to work with people.
So what does art mean to you?
As an artist, I'm always redefining that and learning what it means. But I love that you asked what it means to me, because I love defining the world for myself. And I think that this is like a very important thing that people should do more, is define the world for themselves. And yeah, that might seem hard. It's like a big blanket statement, but I look at it as like defining words. So I'm glad that you asked that, because my life changed when I asked myself, like, yo, what does success mean to me? What does it mean to me to feel fulfilled?
That's beautiful.
Because that's a totally different question than
what is success?
Yeah, before I was asking myself, what is success? And that usually that's what my answers to that question were, what I deemed success to be in the eyes of my family for me, and the eyes of like society for me.
Indeed,
and
100%.
And your friends, you know, the close circles that you surround yourself. That's like succeeding was through their perspectives. But that, when I ask myself, like, yo, what does it mean to me? It's a different question. Like, what's gonna make me feel fulfilled at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And like lately, that's been working on set. Like a day on set, if I'm getting, like, say we're working 12 hours or more, and usually, I don't know, sometimes you're getting paid properly for that amount of time and effort, and there's pre-production, post-production as well.
Indeed.
But a lot of the times, as a starting out young artist, a lot of those jobs I'm doing, the compensation doesn't equate necessarily to the hours and the time and energy put in. But like, it doesn't matter to me, because when I go home, I can sleep and I feel fulfilled. Like, when I was studying, I would just study all day, and then when I did have some free time, I was not feeling fulfilled, you know. And maybe that's a common thing when you're studying, but I was just full of creative ideas, and I didn't have time to explore them. So that's why I've taken this year. Like, I'm still a student right now at UBC, but I've taken this year to more invest my full time and energy into creating.
Okay. So I guess what art means to you is, I'm gonna let you have a sip or more.
Mm-hmm.
So art means to you right now is the idea of fulfillment.
No. Okay. So yeah. Sorry. I went kind of sideways on that, but art to me just means like to be expressive, I think.
To be expressive. Okay.
But I think you can have an internal art world too. Like, for me, I've always found beauty in everything, and I think that's like that's what I try to share in my work, you know. And beauty in everything is like a big thing, because I don't know, the world's so big, everything is so much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been able to like look down an alley that looks really dark and maybe scary to a lot of people, and find it like beautiful and romantic, you know. It's references that you have in your head. It's the diet that you intake. And when I mean diet, like, I mean everything. Like, people listening to this podcast, that's part of their audio diet, you know, and the visual diet. Like, a lot of people think of diet as food and like liquid, but I think of diet as everything you consume, because everything you consume affects your output.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
like
Anything, input is your output, basically.
Yeah. Like, your sleep is part of your diet, and your how you wake up in the morning, that's part of your diet, because those are things you're putting into, or like rituals you have for yourself to change your output. Like, the way I dress is part of my diet, because it changes how I feel that day, and it changes how I express myself.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool. I've never heard that before. So what are your usual or daily inputs?
Daily inputs? I try to be mindful a lot. I think a lot of my input is mindfulness, but also like I try to just take a lot of care of myself in terms of like cleanliness, and like, maybe I'm too OCD with it, I think, sometimes, just because like I won't wear something if I've worn it before. But like, so many of my friends, like, I have some friends that'll wear the same outfit for a week, and they're like loving that outfit, you know. And I support that, but that's just something I could never do personally. Like, if I wear something once, it has to be washed and like folded and like taken care
Folded.
of.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I take care. That's one thing I do for sure. Take care of my clothes.
Okay.
And like I try to eat as healthy as I can. I grew up like eating only organic, and I mean, that's mostly because my mother had some health issues when I was growing up.
Okay.
So like throughout that, our whole family became extremely healthy, and that's definitely like I've definitely carried on with that.
That's
And,
awesome.
but I think water is like a main thing. Water, sleep, and just proper food. Like these are simple things, but you can get so, I don't think there's ever, like I've never felt like I'm on top of it all. Physical activity too. I love to run, but
Yeah.
but like staying hydrated, I don't think that's like a day, like I don't, like one day I don't think you can get hydrated. It's like it's a real pattern you have to keep up every day, and it changes too. Like sometimes you're losing more water if you're being way more
Running and
physical.
whatnot. Yeah.
But definitely being hydrated is like, I don't know, something that's just, sometimes I'll be like, maybe have brain fog or something and not sure why, because I get very passionate and I go down rabbit holes, and I'm just like very locked in. But then I just have it's as simple as that, have a glass of water, and suddenly I feel like, whoa, like fresh and full of ideas.
Yeah.
So that's a constant reminder. But I don't know, just keep my space clean. If I don't have a space, if my like space isn't clean, or like there's dishes or anything, then I'm unable to properly like come up with a new idea.
Yeah.
Because there's always all this stuff I have to take care of. So
this place is a disaster right now.
but that's part of, I think, being creative as well, is just bringing, like, tearing it all apart and bringing it back together,
Yeah.
Reevaluating. I do that with some projects. Sometimes I'll build a project up and then just tear it down and start over, because
See, yeah, I love that you mentioned running. Was there a project or an idea that you were able to put out that you got while you were running?
I would say no. Usually when I run, it's for like clarity, because I feel like I'm always on go mode, I would say.
I see that.
Just
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't know, I'm a freelance artist. I feel like part of me feels like I have to be on go mode every day, 7 days a week, because I don't have a boss like every day. No one's telling me to do things every day. So I have to be self-accountable and do that. So I'm always on go mode. Running's a great way for me to clear my head and just think about nothing. I find it more like meditative.
I do want to talk to you because were you always into fashion or high fashion? Like,
Yeah.
say in high school?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you were?
In high school, I was really into Comme des Garçons and Yohji Yamamoto. Like,
Okay.
those were like, I don't know, I just was like, this is, growing up in Canada in like a small town, I thought it was the coolest thing ever to wear like these crazy black silhouettes. That was just something, I guess, really foreign to me. And yeah, like those two designers specifically inspired me a lot when I was younger. And I don't know, it's just it made me delve deeper into Japanese culture, which I feel like is like a constant inspiration. And I've never been to Japan, but that's one of my big goals right now, is to do a project in Japan.
It'll happen soon.
Yeah, I know
It'll happen, yeah. But then I kind of want to talk about more, like, what was about CDG that got you very inspired?
I think it was really just the sense of like the foreign aspect to me. It was really something I'd never seen. And like, I'm sure if I had came across Margiela at that time, like I did shortly after, but I'm just saying that if a designer like that came into my realm instead of Comme des Garçons or Yohji Yamamoto, I would have been like, it would have been the same kind of feeling, But I think what really sparked that was my interest in Japanese culture.
Okay.
Yeah, like the food, and I mean, not just the food, but the food maybe was a contributing factor to my interest as well. But I think that just I mean, I can't really speak on it too much because I haven't been there, I don't want to speak on
No, I
Japan because I
understand.
don't
Yeah.
have I've never lived there and never been there. But the outside inspiration has been exponential for me.
It makes sense. A bit of a, I guess, change of topic, but frequency hopper.
Frequency hopper.
Exactly. Uh, where did that name come from,
Um, I don't know, to be honest.
and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that's the bigger thing is that I just have always felt like I don't know, it's been hard for me to define like myself and where I stand. Um, throughout high school and throughout my education as a whole, like my university education as well. I've always been in different friend groups. I've always been like hanging out with all different sorts of people, skateboarders, athletes, um, academically centered individuals, and I don't know, people in the punk scene or in all these different scenes. And I love all these different scenes. I love all the different vibes. I love super high energy situations, but I also love like the very low chill zen situations as well. And I love to like meditate, but I also love to rave, and those things I find a lot of the time they contradict themselves. But a way for me to kind of define that is just frequency hopping. And um, yeah, I think within my art too, I frequency hop a bit as well. Like I try to keep my creative output kind of concise and understandable, so I have a creative language. But I would say behind the scenes, it's inspired by so many different aspects of life and angles that I'm like frequency hopping behind when I'm creating,
Makes sense.
tapping into these different elements of myself.
It's the idea of energy. You
Yeah,
would
for
say.
sure.
Okay, okay.
I believe in energy like 100%. Like sometimes someone walks into a room and their energy changes the room. I think that's an easy way to see it. But energy is existing everywhere. Like the I don't know, aesthetics of spaces change your energy. When you walk into, like, why do you like this cafe over that cafe? That's a good question,
Yeah.
because on a down to the core, they're most likely the same.
Right.
Like,
It's just how it makes you feel.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how did this person from Nelson, BC, who was also hitchhiking, who loves education, creativity, fashion, got submerged into being a photographer?
Yeah, so that's been like over the past 2.5 years. I've been taking it more seriously, photography, and doing independent projects. And but how that really sparked was, as I told you before, how I started in the scene was working as a stylist, and
Okay.
in the creative world, that's how I was kind of introduced to a lot of the,
Creatives.
yeah, and just introduced to the industry that I operate in now. Like now I'm in music as well, but music and fashion are very connected. And this styling was a way for me to, it's styling I've always been passionate about, just personal expression. And the reason I don't prioritize it as much anymore is because a lot of the work I was getting to do styling didn't align with myself. But I was like, that was, I guess, why I was conflicting for me. I was like, I love this so much. It's one of my deepest passions. So I don't want to sacrifice that and make it something that I don't love so much just to make money, So that's why I kind of moved away from it. But I still take on jobs that I feel like really align with me and ignite that passion that I have, because it's something I love. And I'm sure I will continue to do so. But through styling, that allowed me to meet so many people. And yeah, I worked. It was a very pivotal day. About 3 years ago now,
Okay.
I worked on a set for the brand Spencer Badoo, and
Nice.
yeah, that campaign I met. The reason I say it's pivotal is because I met just a lot of individuals that I've worked with in the since then, and specifically Austin Banks was the photographer on that set, and that was the day I met him. And I started working with him for about 2 years after that.
I cannot wait to sit down with Austin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a good energy for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. People have told me that too. You came in this industry, creative and industry, and then slowly you started taking pictures, and you found, this is something you're good at and you want to pursue,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, before I moved to Montreal, I was just taking fit pics, sometimes just with the timer, like self timer. And that was just like something I like to do. It wasn't even like, there was no intention behind it really. But then I moved here and I realized like, whoa, like some people are taking fit pics and getting paid like thousands of dollars just for one fit pic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's that's how they make money. That's how they pay their rent. When you meet someone like that, or like I have a lot of influencer friends, they like I don't know, just from a consumer perspective, when you're looking at an influencer, like when you're just on their feed,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's hard to really grasp their life. But when you meet them and you're chilling with them, then it's like, wait, like this is your job, like we're at the restaurant and then the camera eats first, and that's like
Indeed, yeah, yeah.
that's part of their profession,
Yeah.
that's part of the way that they live. So that's definitely eye-opening for just meeting all these different people, and yeah, learning that like what I had thought of just kind of a random activity of taking fit pics actually translates when you get way deeper into it. Like at the end of the day, most campaigns are just an outfit on a model.
Yeah.
Like that's at the end of the day, that's what a lot of like luxury campaigns, streetwear campaigns, that's what it consists of.
No, makes sense.
And it's just taking that fit pick to like exponential levels.
You said stylist. I thought of hypebeast.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was getting featured on hypebeast? What did that do to you as a creative, or for you as a creative?
Yeah, so that was when I was actually studying at UBC that happened.
Okay.
And yeah, that was so I modeled for Adapture, my friend Shane's brand. You've had Shane on the podcast
Shane.
before, actually. Yeah, so Shane randomly hit me up to model for him in Vancouver. He knew that I moved from Montreal. I met him in Montreal, and he was dropping a pant with Kyron. There was like Kyron X Adapture, and he asked me to model that pant, and it was super dope. And he just let me style myself too, because he knew I was a stylist. And it was just a dope shoot because I just gotten to Vancouver, but also it was with my friend Shane, and we had never worked together. And then through that, one of his friends, Austin, who owns the brand Maple, hit me up and was like, yo, I'd love to do something with you. So then the first shoot we did, Shane was the photographer, Austin was doing video, and they just let me, that was for the Maple, the jewelry brand. Again, they just let me style myself, and it was a lot of fun. Like I love jewelry. My grandmother was a jeweler, and I've made some jewelry myself. So like I felt like I identified with the brand. I like their creations. This necklace is actually from Maple.
Oh, nice.
And
Sick.
the second campaign I did for them was with this. So the first one went crazy actually. It was like at one point it was on Hypebeast, like on the main page of like most hyped, I think they call it. And it was like Rihanna, and then it was PlayStation 5, and then it was like me, and I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know, it wasn't like, it was a big moment, I guess, but I didn't really like, at that point I wasn't too into Hypebeast, to be honest. I'm not into Hypebeast right now. I love like smaller publications, and I find when you like dive deeper into publications, you can find a publication that you're like, whoa, everything they're posting is something I identify with. But a publication like Hypebeast, it's pretty like blanket. But it was really cool for me, because growing up and when I was younger, that was like something I looked at frequently. And when I was into streetwear, for sure, like I had the notifications on every drop. I was like going on Hypebeast, checking things out.
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, it was like, I was like, whoa, this, like, if I had told myself 10 years ago, like, yo, like this is what you're going to do, that I would have been like, whoa. But in the moments, it was just dope for me to work with my friends, and like continue evolving. I think my approach, yeah, right now I'm focused on photography and videography, as we said, but my my kind of focus and vision for myself in as a creative has always been art direction, creative direction, and I mean, I used to be obsessed with world building, and a
Okay.
lot of creatives talk about this concept. I mean, it's a widely used like concept to describe ideas, world building, and like to break down ideas too. But I don't know. For me, like I was super obsessed with that, but it kind of shifted. Now I'm really like in the past year, I've really been like community building is where it's at. I think world building is great, but there has to be some balance with community building, you know. And now my focus is more on community building because I think like world building's amazing because it's like, oh, I have this world in here that I want to share, so I'm gonna build it. But I don't know, when you build community, like I have this vision, and I want to find people that share this vision, and we work together, and we're in alignment, and the communication is on point, like everybody's communicating. At that point, like I think that's when the magic can happen, as we talked about before. The computer plus internet equals what? You know, me plus you equals this conversation, but that's much more than just me and you like alone not sharing, you know.
Yeah.
So I think when you get all these artists and or have a creative community that's being cultivated and supported, and it's like an ongoing journey, but I think that's a way that expressions can hit a lot more people. The art can hit a lot more people, and at the end of the day, that's my goal, you know, to make people feel. But how I see myself evolving has always been towards art direction, creative direction. But when I moved here, I was like, I don't know, I was young, and I knew I wanted to do that, but I was like, what? Like some of my friends are so talented. They're in their mid to late 20s, early 30s. Like how would I just didn't understand how I was supposed to like get to a point where I could kind of be on a team with these people, but also having like my vision be shared and expressed through, you know. So I just started doing any opportunity I could get, honestly, working on set as an assistant as much as I could. I still love to do that, work as an assistant on set. I would love to find another creative that I like as a mentor. That's something I'm really honestly looking for right now, is another, like I love having teachers. I love learning, and I love just every role on set. I think the more, like I've worked for a lot of photographers now over the years, and every time like I work for a new photographer, they have a different approach. They have a whole different world that they operate in. But I think just seeing these worlds and being like operating in these worlds allows me to be a better creative, and even if it doesn't necessarily align with myself, I'm still learning something from that experience. And that's how I view it, you know.
You're on the go at all times.
Yeah.
And I feel like you like that idea too.
Mm-hmm.
It fulfills you.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with learning, like we talked about, like being my best self. I'm a life seeker, but I think I'm just obsessed with learning, and I love traveling so much and just new environments, like the frequency hopping, you know. I love being in these different spaces with different energy, and that's what I thrive off, because it makes me uncomfortable sometimes, and then if I'm able to move through that, then it's like, whoa, like I was suddenly, I don't know, you know, it's just how you see yourself. If you see yourself only identifying with a certain group of people, and like, oh, like we maybe can't be friends because you do this activity that I don't do, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's just it's closing off the world to yourself. I'm like, yo, world, I want to see everything. And so I try to operate in that sense, you know. If I get a random phone call to go to like an opera tonight, I'm down. Like, but also if it's like to go to underground rave, I'm probably there, you know. If it's something new artists, new environment, that's what I thrive in, and I think I learn most doing that. There's a lot to be said about really specializing in a area, and same, like you could become if you're going to all different types of events and surrounding yourself by all different types of people all the time, it's definitely hard to like become a critic of one
Yeah.
area, you know, very niched out, specialized in this one thing. But as a young individual, I think it's very like it's key for me in my life to constantly expose myself to new experiences. And I mean, I used to be a very insecure individual. I feel like I'm not now. I mean, I still definitely have insecurities at times. I think insecurity is like the one thing that humans really, it's really easy to see that we share. At least for me, I see every individual as having a sense of insecurity. It's just that some people are able to turn that insecurity into confidence. And some people purely express their confidence as
Insecurity.
like, yeah, stemming from insecurity.
That's kind of what I do. I just tell people, oh, I'm insecure about this certain thing.
Even doing that is like I mean, I think self-confidence is like I really realized that this year. It's one of the most important things, you know, especially as a creative. No one, like, you're not going to say you're a client looking to hire me. You're not going to hire me if I don't believe in myself, you know, because how are you supposed to believe that I'm able to execute what you want if I don't even believe in myself? But, you know, if we're talking about a project and I'm like, yo, I'm totally capable of this, and I feel that and I believe in that of myself, then you're going to feel that too and be like, oh, like, yeah, this is easy for him. The thing that I was getting at about what I discovered this summer is just that it's like, yeah, it's key, but the path to it became clear to me. It's like taking self-responsibility. I feel like that's the most organic and clear path to self-confidence, is to just take responsibility for who you are as a human. Who are you, you know, and what life experience do you have? What are your talents? What are your weaknesses? Like, I think a lot of people run away from these aspects of their life, their whole life.
Yeah.
But if I feel like at a young age, I've been able to take responsibility for who I am, my actions, all the trauma I've been through in life, you know, like, this is all a part of me, and I'm responsible for that. I'm Picoy, you know, so like, if I put the blame on anyone else, there's no point, because it's just evading. It's just making myself weaker, you know. Anything that happens out here, yeah, I want to feel good in here, but like, at the end of the day, I'm still responsible for, like, I think all relationships are two-sided. Like, there's always a factor of both parties being involved, you know. And I want to always take responsibility. I mean, it's a constant journey. I'm not saying that I'm there, for sure not. But it's just, once I've realized, like, yo, I got to take responsibility for who I am, my like life, then I think that builds real self-confidence. The more you're able to face yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, I've got myself here. This is where I'm at. Like, where are we going to go?
What was that certain point where you were like, okay, you know what? I have this self-confidence. You know what? It would probably wasn't that one certain thing that happened and instantly you had that self-confidence. But like, someone, if they're suffering with their self-esteem, how do they get that confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the same, like, responsibility, you know, there's different ways. Maybe I made it too big, because I think it does just come down to, like, are you able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, I'm in this body? I think a lot of insecurity comes from, like, physical appearance, and also obviously also the mental state. But
yeah,
but I feel like just looking at yourself and being like, yo, this is my brain that, like, we're operating in. Like, it's a life seeker, you know, you got to seek that out. Like, I seek to be more myself. I seek to be an individual that freely expresses himself. And that's something, like, I'm always aiming towards, you know. I don't know if I'll ever make it to a point. Like, I think that life's just a journey. So everything in life is kind of a journey as well. Like,
exactly.
Like, it's never ending. And yeah, that might feel like vast, but it also means that you can, like, reach points that you never expected you could reach. You can reach heights that you like my highest vision of myself, I'm sure that there's, like, a even higher, you know.
Yeah. Would you agree? I feel like self-confidence literally comes from you looking yourself in the mirror and telling yourself, oh, I'm going to do this certain thing, and you do it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally it, because that gives you self-confidence. It could be as simple as, like, oh, I'm going to clean the dishes before I sleep tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for sure having people believe in me has been monumental. because a lot of the times I don't believe in myself, and I'm really hard on myself. Like
Same.
a lot of big accomplishments I have, I don't see them as accomplishments, you know, because I just see it as like I always feel like I'm at step one. It's like every day is step one, and I think that's a great mindset to have. But at the end of the day, it makes it really important to have individuals that believe in you, because when I have someone I really respect be like, yo, what you're doing is amazing, like that one person saying that means so much more to me than, like, I don't know, if everybody's
No, I
saying
understand
it's
that.
good, you
Yeah.
know, because it's someone I really respect, and I care about those, like, one opinion that I think is really true and subjective, and when it's backing you up, that has so much power. And like I've been really fortunate to have so many teachers, and I view like a lot of my colleagues as teachers as well, you know, because we're always inspiring each other. And maybe if I won't necessarily work under them or like with them on a project, I'm still like I'm still supportive of them. And I think anyone improving like makes everyone improve.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely. I mean, for example, I believe in this, and I actually write this down in my journal, usually on daily basis. It's like my actions are going to affect my loved ones as well.
Yeah.
If I'm being lazy piece of shit, it's probably that energy can that like it might not make the other person be a lazy piece of shit, but it can be a big factor
Yeah.
in their laziness.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think, like, even in terms of economics, a lot of people people think that, oh, like, take this hypothetical situation. You live in a house, and then your neighbor, and over years, your neighbor that lives right next to you in their house gets oh, they're doing all these renovations. They get a pool, you know. They do a nice cobblestone driveway. Suddenly they have a drive-in garage. They get a new car, you know. A lot of people don't like when their neighbors succeed and they don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, like, that's a very big flaw in being human, because your neighbor making all these improvements on their house, suddenly now your house is worth double than you bought it, you know. You're living in, even if you can't maybe afford to live there, the value of your house has gone up significantly because all your neighbors are like done all these renovations, and suddenly you live in a nice neighborhood, you know. So it is affecting you, you know, in a positive way, and it could be inspiring, you know. There could be all these other things, but just on a very economic point of view, it's like a good thing for your neighbor to succeed.
You have shot for brands like Aldo, Dime. You have shot runways too now.
Yeah.
How does a photographer kind of get in that point of their life, especially being a 20-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, like I've never shot for Dime exactly, you know. I've worked for Dime for, like, Max is the photographer. I started working for Dime because Kane was, I started working for Kane, Ocean, and then he was a photographer of Dime at the time. Like, Max was working for Dime as well, but he started assisting Kane, is my understanding. And yeah, so I started, like, assisting Kane as well, you know. I'm not pressing the shutter, but I was working on those sets, and I assisted the stylist as well. And yeah, but just getting on those, it's just building the relationships, you know, being genuine self. Same goes for when I'm in Paris or anywhere. I think it just comes down to, like, how you frame your experiences is what I would say is the biggest contributing factor, you know, because we all have so many experiences as humans.
Yeah.
But I think it's really a matter of how you frame it. Like, me and you can do the same thing on any given day, you know?
Yeah.
And that could be like, I could take that as like a win, that experience, and frame it as like an accomplishment. Or I could frame it as like kind of a distraction, you know? Like, why, like, the same experience me and you have, you could frame it as an accomplishment and I frame it as a distraction, but it's the same thing. that we did, you know?
Okay.
And like growing up in Nelson per se, I used to frame that as like, oh, like why didn't I grow up in New York, you know, or Paris for what I'm doing? But and what I wanted to do, you know, I wanted to be in the action where culture is evolving. So I was like, I framed my experience of growing up in a small town as like a weakness, you know. But later I was like, yo, no, this gives me a unique perspective. It's the same experience framed in two different ways. One of it being like a weakness, making me different, making me feel alienated, I guess, or like, you know. But then I flipped that same exact experience, same like memories attached to it, but it's just how I framed it was different. And it's like, no, this gives me a unique perspective. How many other people from Nelson are pursuing what I'm pursuing? And in these spaces, like I'm able to go, I don't know, in the center of where culture is happening with an like grounded perspective of growing up in the mountains, you know.
Okay.
So now it's became like my superpower is
Gotcha.
how I frame it, but it's the same experience that I used to be like insecure about.
So I guess it kind of comes down to sum it up, it would be accepting yourself, being genuine, and just taking every opportunity. Like if you have to
Yeah.
go, like this is how you're gonna build your relationships. You go on sets, even if you don't have anything to do. You can ask people, hey, is there any way I can help?
Yeah.
Can I like move the tripod or whatever?
I mean, I've been on sets where people are just kind of observing too. Like they don't have a role per se, but they've been brought on by individuals to just intake what's happening, you know, the behind the scenes. I mean, that's definitely a more rare situation, but there has been situations where I'm on set working and there's other individuals that are there, but not necessarily with a role or doing any tasks, you know. And I imagine those individuals from the situations that I've experienced are just reaching out to people and being like, yo, what you do is amazing. And on a grounded, genuine note, you know, I think people know when you're reaching out to them with other intentions. Like, I think your intentions are always clear, whether you make them clear or not. At a certain point,
Gotcha.
they become clear. And if you have good intentions and you're just yourself, you know, and you have proper framing of your experiences. That's what I was getting at, you know. You can frame something as being way bigger than it is too. And each time we meet someone and each time we're connecting with other individuals, we're only able to show, I mean, there's like, that's a common saying, you're only able to show a few cards, you know. Like, yeah, I'm this person, but on any given day, I'm only able to show you like a little bit of who I am. And I think it's just having proper framing on that, you know, because if I'm getting to know someone and say I have the framing of where I grew up as being the weakness and something I'm insecure about, that's gonna direct, like, and on my first introduction when I'm getting to know someone and that if that comes up, you know, that's already like a card I'm showing them, and it's framed in this weird way, you know, and they're gonna feel that, like. But if you come to terms with it, and the same goes when you do the vice versa, like when you frame an experience that's shouldn't be, I don't know, it's not an accomplishment really, but like you're riding it as an accomplishment. I think that's clear too when you meet people, like they're like people thinking that you're trying to sell yourself, you know.
So it's the idea of perspective
Yeah.
and energy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
100%, you know, I think people feel those things whether they're aware of it or not.
Subconsciously you can.
Yeah. Like those things are always at play, whether you're someone that's taking note of energy and perspective or not. You're going to feel people's perspectives and energy. Like,
Nope.
I think it's something you don't necessarily need to be tapped into, but I enjoy like having more self-awareness and kind of feeling these types of forces and just being aware, you know. I love being aware, and I think it comes from a point of like, I want to have a positive impact on the world. So I got to be aware, you know, what I view as positive isn't everyone's view of positive. It's not everyone has fundamentally different values. And I think it's easy to just surround yourself with people that have very shared values and shared perspectives.
Gotcha. Short segment. And so basically how this is going to go is I'm just going to ask you like 4 or 5 questions.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of, I just want to know, like as a friend, what is type, what is like the content you're consuming?
Yeah.
You know, so for example, what is a brand or a project that you kind of have an eye on currently?
Um, I would honestly say Final Loss. It's based in Montreal. Um, he's been active like with Final Loss, the owner of it. He's been active with it for I think since like posting pretty much the ethos has stayed the same since 2018 if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow.
Like he's
Skip
been,
Fame.
yeah, Skip Fame is that's a like a facet of Final Loss.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was briefly involved with the owner and the production of it at last summer, and that's when I got like way more in depth with my understanding of the brand. But like I think it's the coolest brand in Montreal, and like honestly, I just hope that it really blossoms, you know, because I think it's really there's a lot of depth there, and it's a lot of the reference comes from just resourceful living, I would say. You know, I think that's the creative director's like a big influence on the ethos of Final Loss is people that don't live conventional lives and live resourcefully, and what it looks like to dress when you live like
Resourcefully.
yeah, and then you can I don't know that as a I mean nowadays we have more brands that are focused on that kind of point of culture as a reference, but I find that very inspiring, you know. I find everybody's style to be unique because we all live unique lives. So I appreciate like almost everyone's style as long as I feel like it's true to themselves, you know, and that's just my subjective opinion when I think it's true to them. But
I don't appreciate skinny jeans anymore.
yeah, me neither, honestly. But I do have one pair of joggers that I still wear. But when I wear them, I wear the waistband like really low.
Okay.
So then they almost look like
The
crotch is like here, so it's a whole different vibe.
Gotcha.
then they're baggy.
Yeah, the Fear of God. In 2015, 2016, Fear of God used to make those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They kind of feels like a low crotch pant.
Yeah. So what's a place, could be a cafe, a restaurant, gives you that creative freedom?
Oh, creative freedom. Well, I love going to parks. I would say that's like more than cafes and restaurants. In Montreal, I love Parc La Fontaine, favorite park in the city. I like in the summer specifically. I don't really go there in the winter, but yeah, I just go there and sit, and like people watching is insane there, and I read a book or something, and that it really feels like rejuvenating and kind of out of the chaos of the city. But I love going to cafes as well. I often work at a cafe when I'm not shooting and when I'm doing more admin work. Usually Osmo or Olympico. I definitely go to those cafes a lot. Just
Osmo is the shit.
yeah, Osmo is really good.
I love Osmo.
I'm actually, well, they're closed right now. They open on Saturday, but I just made them a bunch of pins. That's like my side hustle, I guess, is I make like pins like you can put on clothing.
Oh,
So I just I was stoked to work with them again. This is the second time I made pins for Osmo.
okay.
But yeah, it's always, I mean, I love all the people there, the staff, and same with Olympico. Like I love the staff there, but I think the reasons that that those two cafes I go to more is just the creative community
I know.
is
I
there a
feel
bit
that.
more. And I mean, Osmo used to be, it still is, but it used to be like that. The focus of that building used to be for startups.
Oh.
It still is. Like when you go to the bathroom there and like that area, that side of the building is I forget what the name of it's like the organization's called, but it's for startups and so young entrepreneurs and starting entrepreneurs. That's a great place to check out. And a lot of businesses in Montreal that I'm sure we're all aware of have started there or worked with that.
Gotcha. What kind of book are you reading these days, or you would recommend to a creative?
A book I'd recommend.
Do you read?
Yeah, I do read. So, but when I read a lot of like fiction, and I love books that don't make sense, like start to finish. At the end, you're like, wait, like what's the ending? You know, like it leaves you kind of thinking about it. Because I like to like a book that I don't know. I wake up in the morning and I'm not necessarily reading it, but I'm like wondering about it. You know, it doesn't make sense and it feels like a dream. And I like stories like that too, you know. I think stories hit us more when we can relate to them. But if it's like the same story that you already know, it's not very interesting. But if it's a story that you can kind of figure out, make sense of, that's what I love. And I try to do that in my work too, you know, add that sense of like, what is this? Like that wonder. And because I want to spark curiosity. I want people to actively be actively looking at the work and not just have it be like predictable and like, oh, this is this, like, oh, amazing, but like it's just like in this category, you know. I want to spark emotion and spark introspective in my audience. Oh,
So
but a specific book I would say is I mean, I really like for literature, I really like the book Remember, Be Here Now. Or no, it's just called Be Here Now, and it's a purple book, and it has a chair on the front. And yeah, that book is mind blowing. Like my mother gave it to me, and she loved it. But I've read it like title to title one time, but now I just kind of flip through it, and I keep it on me most times. Like whenever I travel, I usually have that book, and it's just like, I don't know, I'll wake up in the morning, have a coffee, flip to a random page, and it's definitely like a self guidance spiritual book, but it's pretty open, and it was written, if I'm not mistaken, in the late 80s. So I don't know, I love that nostalgia perspective before I was born.
what is a materialistic thing that you're trying to buy
Oh,
this
new
year?
cameras, new cameras,
New
all the way.
cameras? Yeah. We
I
need
need,
new cameras.
yeah. I mean, at some point, I want to make my own camera for sure. Like, I want to innovate in the actual mechanics of cameras.
And who's a person, could be a content creator, artist, whoever, who kind of inspired your creative journey?
Who inspired my whole journey?
Your
Like
creative
sparked it?
journey, yeah.
Oh, like from the beginning. I mean, honestly, Frank Ocean, and
Ooh.
like that's my current goal right now, is to work with Frank Ocean. Like in terms of why I'm like who I want to work with, and in this realm of music and fashion. But I don't even really listen to his music anymore, to be honest. It's just that I was at like a very low point of, it was like in high school. I was going to boarding school in Hawaii, and I was mad homesick, mad like feeling lonely. Like I was only like 14, like that year I was 14, 15, you know, and very pivotal time in life, moved to a new place. I mean, I'd lived in Hawaii before, but not at boarding school, and surrounded by all these people from different backgrounds. Like it was an international school, great opportunity, changed my life, but at the same time, so much, I was just going through a lot mentally, and like my mental health was not good. um yeah, it was like very self-destructive state, and I didn't really know the point of, like, I was like, what's the point of, you know, living? Because
Yeah.
I was just like, it wasn't like the most, I don't know, I've been at darker points in life, but that was like a big moment, because I was achieving a lot, but I didn't really understand why or what I was doing it for. And something about like Frank Ocean, I started listening to him at that time, and his music just became like, it was like the only thing I was playing for like 6 months. And then he dropped Blonded, and Blonde, and I was like that also changed my life too, that album. And it was just like, it wasn't necessarily like I don't think it was the music, it was just like I feel like his energy like hits you on a different note, and then it's like, it really made me be like, whoa, like I just want to hit people like this, you know, and make them feel. Because I don't know, I think there's a lot of people that numb themselves and bottle up their emotions and don't want to feel. And at the end of the day, that's all I'm trying to do with my art, is just make something, capture something that makes people feel. And at the beyond that, I want to inspire people, you know. And I think he inspired me to just be like, yo, like you can be going through whatever, have whatever pain, any trauma, and still like make people feel like alive and feel good in their body. And that's what I just hope to translate is, you know, I think a lot of the times my subject matter and my art might look dark, and people might perceive it in any way, you know, as I stopped worrying about that so much. But I feel like I don't know, even some of my family members, they might see that my art as being very dark, and that I'm coming from a dark place, you know. But for me, it's like I'm just trying to shine some light on this, And yet I think there's beauty in darkness, and like also I want to make situations feel like they're accessible, because I believe anyone can do anything, you know, and it's just they have to believe in themselves.
You said it all, Pikoy. Last but not least, so I'm going to give you a piece of paper. We will think of this as a billboard.
Yeah.
Billboard that all the creatives get to see. I just want you to write something on it. And that's it. And then we can end this beautiful conversation.
This is for all the other creatives, right?
Yeah.
So well, I just wrote wandarity.
And what does that mean?
Well, this is a word that so ever since I was a child, I wanted to create a word and have it added to the dictionary.
Okay.
And I didn't really realize that this was like a big task when I was younger. I was just like, oh, like words are added to the dictionary all the time. And then throughout my life, I was just always coming up with random words, you know, and a lot of them don't stick because, I don't know, it's just slang a lot of the time. And I love slang, and that's part of the reason, like, I love words too. I love playing with words. But like, a lot of them don't stick. I would come up with random words, but I came up with wandarity like 5 years ago. I mean, it had two different spellings. Now it's changed from the A to an O, wandarity instead of wandarity. But yeah, it's like it stuck with me over the years, and I've been developing it. And it's really, what it means to me is just that you can go forward in life and be prosperous and successful without being on a linear path. You know, I think at a certain point we're confronted by, or throughout different points in our life, we're confronted by the idea that you need to have goals that you're set, and you need to be like, to be prosperous, you're in line with those goals. You know, you're going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like hitting those goals that you have set for yourself to go A to Z. But my life hasn't really worked that way. I set goals, but sometimes I'll be like going one way, and it's not necessarily towards where I need to be going, you know. I'm experiencing this other thing that I'm passionate and inspires me in that moment, but it's not always like the clear path of being successful and prosperous. But I don't think that having that linear path is the most, like, it's the most full of growth, you know. I think going different directions, feeling different emotions, exploring is part of growth, and it leads to more growth, because like things are never what you expect, you know. You have this goal set out for yourself. 5 years from now, I'm gonna have a house, you know. That could be something on your A to Z path, and I think it's good to always keep that in mind, always keep that, you know, there. But what if you're supposed to like spend all your money that you were saving on a down payment and like invest it in a business, and then that's how you buy your house in 5 years, you know? There's all these different possibilities that could happen to do that goal. But I think the more open you are and the more wandarious you are, the more you're like finding paths to that goal. And it doesn't always make sense, you know. It's just,
that's what life is.
Yeah,
it
but I think
really
as a creative, it's really important to kind of see that, because as a creative myself, I want to be successful and prosperous, you know. But those words to me have always represented very linear paths, and it's never that way. It's never really linear. Some of the most successful individuals we deem as successful in society had massive failures, and you wouldn't really account, like, you wouldn't, when you're making your path, your plan, you don't account for failure, you know.
Indeed.
But I think that's just the way we as a society define, or at least the society I feel a part of, defines the word success and prosperity. And wandarity to me just means like you're going for that goal, you're still aligned with it, but you might be going this way, that way, and it really comes like balance. I used to view as an equation. Oh, I want to live a balanced life. I have to have all my days got to be balanced, you know, morning routine, before bed routine, all this balance. Like, oh, if I'm going out a lot, then I should be like balancing that with like spending time in nature, meditating. But like if you try to bring it down to a day in an equation, I don't think that's healthy. You're supposed to go in these different directions. You're supposed to, I think, feel radical emotions and go in a radical way to find your balance and your center. Because if you're, I think it's just like a pendulum moving, like,
Yeah.
and your time is always going forward. And if you keep your pendulum moving towards your goal, you're going to hit it. But I don't know. For me, there was it didn't really work to try and just go straight to it always, I wanted to feel the highs and the lows and everything in between. And I love life, so I want to feel it all.
You said it all, Pikoy. You said it fucking all.
Thank you.
Man,
so much for
this was fucking great. You don't need to thank me. I need to thank you. I'm looking forward to, I hope this is not the last time we're seeing each other. I'm excited to see your projects and just hopefully get a coffee every now and then with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But if other creatives want to start a conversation with you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I mean, anyone's always free to message me, like on Instagram. I would love that. But if it's a more like, if anyone wants to create with me, definitely hit me up in the email. And I prefer email as a channel of communication.
Yeah, I will link that in the description and all that.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll have a lot of projects coming out this year, 2024. I turned 21 in like 3 weeks, and so
happy early birthday.
Thank you.
You'll be in Paris?
Yeah, I'll be in Paris for my birthday.
That's awesome.
But I'm planning. Yeah, 21 feels big for me, so I wanna really share this year. This past year's been a whirlwind, and I've been like a lot of changes. I started being in the music industry a lot more, and just my life changed a lot, traveling and just living a more fluid and moving a lot more in different cultures, different scenes, different continents. And yeah, I feel like through all that change, I was really I wanted to be more like really feel it all, and now in this new year I really want to share more. And
well, I tell
that's
you
part
what,
of the reason I agreed to be here.
That's I mean, I'm very grateful. And I tell you what, you're 20 years old right now. You've achieved a lot. I know you're very hard on yourself, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, man.
I'm proud of you,
Thank you. And we'll end it here.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. Wrap.
Let's go.